pipe.
Yeah.
Well, how could we? We didn't have anything to say.
No.
But that was our stupid part of it. You know?
Yeah.
And then they realised that what this rabble from Java was, and that we just been living the best we could.
So how long were you in Singapore?
Oh, only about 2 days.
And where did they move you to then?
Yeah, well, that's before then they gave us a share of a Red Cross parcel. The only Red Cross parcel we ever saw. And we were given a one parcel, Red Cross parcel, meant five men. And we split that up as best we could amongst us. And I got a pair of underpants out of it. Oh, that was lovely with a G-string. And I got a handkerchief. But the thing that I really appreciate was a can of condensed milk. And so the boy said, right, we'll have that for dinner tonight. I said, no, you won't. I said, that's for a rainy day. Oh, cut it down, blood. Anyway, when the next day we got on another ship to go to head north, and I saw a Dutchman with 2 water bottles. I said, what do you want for one of your water bottles, Dutchie? He said, I know, what do you got to give me? I said, the only thing I own in this world is a can of condensed milk. Okay, so I did a deal with him, a water bottle for a can of condensed milk. That water bottle went right through the Burma jungle with me.
Yes.
Marvellous.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. So how did you actually get to Burma?
Well, we sailed up several days up to Rangoon. Then we shifted.
Was that out of Singapore? Sorry.
From Singapore,
yes.
From Singapore right up to Rangoon. And from Rangoon overnight on board the ship we transferred to another ship, and that took us over to Milmeen. And it was there that we found out what our destiny was going to be. We went into the jail there overnight for a while. Didn't know it was for lepers, but we were in the middle. And then we were taken by train the next day up to Tamarkan, I think. These were those little mental blocks.
That's all right. There's a lot to remember.
And where Colonel Nakatomo, he gave us a great greeting there. He told us we were there to build a railway line. And through jungle where no white man has ever trod. We thought he was joking. And he said, and we're going to build this railway line over a dead man's body if necessary. We still thought he was joking. So that's when we found out we were going to build a railway line.
When you arrived, it must have actually already started.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
the first few kilometres had been started.
Yes, yeah.
And when we were put on trucks, we went up past them, we could see them working.
Yes.
And we kept going. 35 kilos our first camp.
You went out to 35 kilos, right? Any Aussies with you? Soldiers with you?
Oh yeah, we had Williamsforce.
It was still Williamsforce.
It was still Williamsforce.
So what medical officers did you have with you?
Only one medical officer was Colonel
Edie.
Right. He was the only medical officer we had.
Yeah, and he was not a young man either.
Oh no, he'd be quite a senior man.
Yeah, in his 40s.
He would have been. He was an old man then to us.
Yes. Yeah.
Apparently he was a commissary specialist or something.
Yeah, ear, nose and throat. Yeah. So from 35, what work did you do at 35?
35 we went out to an embankment work, building an embankment and some of the small bridges across the creeks and things like that.
Yeah. Those that, you know the Otto Kreef book? His depictions of the bridges, in my view, are very, very good. Am I right? His drawings are very realistic.
Yeah, I got some of the drawings down in my office down there.
Have you?
Yeah, the drawings I did.
Your own drawings?
My own drawings.
Oh, we'll have to put them on the screen here, of course.
Yes. I did. I started my diary there and started doing sketches of things, sketching those bridges and.
So when did you have the time to do your little sketches? Yeah. And
when the other blokes would come in and be sitting around gassing it, I'd get the. And I think this kept me alert mentally, you know.
Yeah. So
and then go out to work, I'd shove a hole, bury it
Yeah.
underneath where the mud bank was,
Yes.
and get it out again and do some scribbling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
I'll show it to you later.
I'd love to see it. Now, just tell me about a typical day.
Well, yeah, you'd be up fairly early in the morning. Yeah, our bugler was a chap by the name of Alan G. Did you hear of Alan G?
No.
It's his daughter that has launched the Perth 3. She'll be over here we've had the launching. This was the commissioning. The Perth are coming
Yes.
in, and she's going to come over and do the commissioning out there. She's the daughter of Alan G.
Oh.
And she wrote a book called, I'll go downstairs,
Yeah.
it's about the G family, but it shows his story as a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
And he was partially blinded through diet, and he was no use trying to send me out to work.
No.
So he was a bugler.
Yeah.
So they made him the camp bugler.
Yeah.
And they had an army bugle somewhere, and they gave it to him. They used to, bugle calls in the morning and night, go out and do all the burials. He'd attach to the last posts and all this sort of stuff.
So, how did you manage to keep yourself clean? Where could you wash yourself, for example?
Oh, when it rained.
Ah, yeah, well, it rained a bit.
Yes, that was the only way you could ever wash.
Really, there were no rivers, no.
No, well,
Creeks?
this camp we had a little creek that went past, but you couldn't
No.
get to that too.
Yeah.
It wasn't until some of the other camps we got to, we got more
Yeah.
solid rivers we could bathe in.
Do you remember where you went to after 35 kilo camp?
35, we went to, I've got it written down there,
Yeah.
down there's 40, 45, I think, and then we went back and started up. Oh, no, Colonel Anderson's group came and joined us
Yeah.
at 35 kilo.
So you combined.
We
did
combined.
You? Yeah.
And he was a different bloke to Colonel Williams.
Yeah.
Williams was tough as oh, he was a
Yeah.
great bloke, very time. If he has we're going to kill these Japs and get out of this, we would have done it.
Yeah.
He was tough. Anderson, the VC and all that, but he was a different sort of a fella.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of time for Williams, a lot of
Yeah.
time. Well, later we came, that's where Rolly Roberts came.
Rolly Richards.
Richard came with us there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we then became the mobile force that went back and started laying the tracks.
Oh, right.
We moved one camp further and then we came back
Yes.
and became what's called a mobile force.
Did you walk back?
Oh, yes. How else did you go?
Oh,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it's
I won't be light-hearted and flippant.
yes, well, we didn't have any rails going yet.
No.
And they had a supply trucks going up and
Yeah.
back bringing supplies.
Did you know where they got the rails and sleepers from at all?
Well, we understood that the sleepers, Java sleepers, they came from Australia, but I think they picked them up from Java and from Malaysia. And so I think the Japs sort of got them wherever they could get them.
Yes.
Mm.
My understanding is that they'd lifted up one whole line from the line connecting Rangoon and Mandalay.
Oh, that could be so, yes. I had
But the Malayan ones went down onto the Thailand end.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see, yeah.
So you've got Rolly Richards with you, you've got Colonel Eadie possibly,
Yeah, I can't read.
and you're doing track laying.
Mm.
Were you efficient track layers?
We had to learn.
Yeah.
We had a lot of trouble with driving in spikes, and we had one, Keith Everard Mills, he bent a spike one day and the Jap guard took him with his rifle butt and broke his jaw because he'd done that. So he ended up back in hospital in the camp. And he's written up about him in Rolly
Richards.
Richard's book.
Yeah,
But
good.
they could not Keith Mills, but he called him some other name, Mills. But he was one that they had a bit of trouble with, and they wanted to, you know, what good was bashing a bloke because he bent a
it's strange, isn't it?
Sort of,
Yeah. Did you know any of Mills, Richard's staff? Like he had a couple of medics, Dick and Armstrong,
Yeah, look, I remember.
or Pinky Rhodes by name?
No.
Okay, what about, did you know of a English officer by the name of Captain Bill Drow?
Certainly did.
Did
We were in 25 kilo, was it, when we went back to start this track laying, and they had some of the prisoners segregated because they had a jungle disease or some sort. I forget quickly think what it was, and he was not very popular with the Japanese commander. I just can't quickly think of his.
Higuchi was it?
Or Naito.
Sato?
Naito.
Naito. Yeah.
And so Naito decided to put him in with all the sick men.
Yeah.
So, because he didn't want him in the way because he was too. Because he was educated in Japan.
Yes.
His father had been an ambassador or something other in Japan pre-war. Because he could tie these blokes around his fingers with his Japanese. And Naito didn't like that.
No.
Naito is a drunk anyway.
Ah, right.
You
You witnessed him in his drunken state, did you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Remember one camp, well, I think it might have been 25, whatever. He used to go around brandishing his pistol, you know. He went up in the sick bay there one day, and he was trying to get him to get out of bed and go to work, and he was a nut. Now we had a little Japanese guard there by Horiushi, and he was a Christian. He was very kind to us. He used to give the sick man an egg or something like that. And Naito didn't like that.
No.
And he made things very difficult for Horiushi, and so much so that Horiushi left camp and went down to base camp to report what he was doing to the prisoners. And he got all his gear out of it and burnt all Horiushi's gear because he knew he'd gone to do something.
Yes.
And because it was not long after that night, I was shifted to another camp. What happened to him? I can't remember.
In the meantime, he tried to shoot one of the guys.
Yes, right.
Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
Warrant Officer Jack Coombs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, okay.
So, is that what actually ended up happening to him? Whether he saw the war out?
He was seen later down in Thailand, and he apparently tried to ingratiate himself with the fellows, because he knew what he was in for. Okay, so you're moving. You're part of this mobile force. Can you remember which of the higher number camps that you'd gone to?
Oh, we had 45. I got it all written down.
Yeah.
Right up to 90.
Now, about round 90, there was a good river, wasn't there? There was a place called Aperon or Apollon.
Oh yeah, good river there.
Good river there. Did you manage to?
Yeah, well, I ended up with a lot of skin diseases.
Yes.
And so there was our doctor there, an army doctor.
Well, I'll give you some names: Higgin, Crans, Hobbs, Cumming, White,
There was Crans.
Brereton.
Crans, I think.
Yeah, a thin man.
Yeah. Anyway, all he could do for me was give me go down to the river and scrub the heads off all these things.
Yeah.
He said, I can't do anything more for you. He said,
Did it do any good?
Oh, I suppose so.
Yeah.
But it kept stopped them getting infected. Yeah.
That's a fairly deep river, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we used to go down there and do this medical work at cleaning, and we have a swim at the same time.
Yeah.
And Horiushi no, there's another camp, I think, Horiyushi came down and saw us, and we went to hop out of the water. He said, no, I come have a swim, and you teach me how to swim.
Yeah.
So Horiyushi,
So he had the ability English. He could speak
he
English.
spoke a bit of English as
Yeah,
well. No, that was one river where we could get a bit of assistance out of it.
Now I'm going to ask.
We used to cart water up from the kitchen for the kitchen.
Yes, you were doing that, were you? And how did you cart the water up?
Oh, there's a thing of bamboo pole with
Yeah.
half a bucket in between, and off you go.
What size? What
About
size?
half 44 gallon drum.
Half a 44 gallon. That's a lot of water.
A lot of water.
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want you to cast your mind back to that river, because that's a pretty big river. Can you remember anything about the bridge that was there?
No, I can't. No,
Because it was one of the few concrete and steel bridges.
no, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
no, okay. Well, it might have been built later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where did you go to then?
Well, I was still there when the line joined up.
Really? So, what work were you doing if you were still there? Because
We were building the track right up to where it linked up with Nicky.
yes.
And,
So you
3 brigade apart, you know.
yes. So, did you actually see the pagodas?
No, not until after we came out of it, because I was on sick. I was not allowed to go to work, because
No.
I was covered over with all these sores.
And who was the doctor that gave you sort of right to be in sick bay or something?
Yeah, well, that was one you mentioned.
Eddie.
No,
Was
it
it
wasn't
Eddie?
Eddie, no.
Crans.
Crans.
Yeah. Well, I just might stop the camera for a moment. All right, now, Arthur, I want to ask you whether you had any contact with the regimental medical officer for the 2nd 4th Machine Gunners, Captain Claude Anderson, at any time.
Only at one camp, that's all.
Do you remember which camp that was?
I thought it was 105.
Right. Yes, he spent.
I think.
He was there a lot of the time. He actually became exhausted there, and they gave him a rest.
Yeah.
And they sent him back to 50 kilo.
So that's the only one I
55
ever
kilo.
met, yeah.
When he was replaced by I think a Captain Higgin, but you'll find that in Rolly Richards' book when you
Oh,
get
that's
to
right,
read
you
it.
mentioned there,
Okay, now you mentioned you remembered the finishing of the line. You said you were near the point where it joined, were you?
yeah. Well, not far off it. I don't know how many kilos away from it.
Yeah.
I know that after it was joined, we had the Melbourne Cup. We had to celebrate the Melbourne Cup of that year,
Of course.
1943.
Yes. We've
You
only
ever
been
heard of that?
2 weeks later. Tell me.
When the line had been joined, so they'd been working day and night to get that stage. So the commanding officer, Williams Force, it wasn't Williams, it was somebody else. Might have been Williams. Just can't remember. Whoever it was, whose racehorse man said, "Hey, this is Barley, we haven't had a Melbourne Cup for a couple of years. Why don't we have a Melbourne Cup in 1943? So I spoke to the commander, the Japanese commander, and he said, it's a real public holiday in Australia that should be celebrated everywhere throughout the world, the Melbourne Cup. Yes, and seeing how many